We want to bring in someone who knows all about exactly these kind of cases and these trade-offs. A former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney, Rebecca Roiphe, and NYU law professor, Professor Murray, back with us. I'll start with you here at the table. We walk through it, your analysis.
Well, first of all, I know that it can sometimes seem as if these are technical crimes, but in fact, they are serious. And this is the bread and butter of the DA's office. This is how we hold powerful people to account.
What is the bread and butter?
These statutes that make it so that it's a crime to lie on your business records, and especially if you're doing it in order to commit some other kind of crime.
So walk us through that. And by the way, bread and butter fits right in with the charcuterie board. The professor, you got the charcuterie, we got the bread.
Right.
It's dinner time. It's dinner time on the East Coast. In all seriousness, when you say that, you mean that statutes, crimes about fraud and business records are commonly used in this office?
Yes. I mean, so Manhattan is the financial capital of the United States, and the office sees it as central to its mission and has historically seen it central to its mission to police Wall Street and to make sure that powerful businessmen are playing by the rules. And part of doing that is making sure that they're not lying on their own records in order to cover up or commit some other kind of crime.
What is the strength of the case that this payment, as mentioned, among others, build a pattern of those kind of lies that are chargeable against Donald Trump himself?
Well, right, exactly. So if he is, in fact, if the company is, in fact, and Donald Trump himself was casting these payments as legal payments when they were in something else, that is not something that is allowed. And
how strong is that case?
So, I personally think it's actually pretty strong a case. I think, there are a couple of problems that people have pointed out about it. But I think, especially in terms of the testimony of Michael Cohen, he's a problematic witness, but his story is actually the most plausible story. The other stories, the ones that Joe Tacopina was telling you the other day, are hard to believe.
So let's break it down. The Tacopina story, which we reported and heard, is this rogue lawyer thing. Michael Cohen cooked up all of these schemes and did them solo dolo, right?
Right. So, sorry, go ahead.
Two lawyers, occupational hazard.
And lots of hands.
So in the charging document, I mentioned this on the screen, we have more of it here. It says Cohen, this is the feds, Cohen falsely indicated the purpose of the wire was retainer. That's false, they say. Then later, same thing. In truth and in fact, lawyers speak, there was no such retainer agreement. That's kind of their aha. And so Tacopina says, yeah, Cohen was convicted of all that, and that's what he did, and that's what he does, and he's out over there. Have you ever dealt with a case like this where they're trying to blame someone, be it a lawyer or a low-level exec, a low-level employee, and you have to go back and kind of prove it up?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a particularly credible defense when the person who is claiming, the lawyer for the person who is claiming that this is, a rogue player is somebody who's sophisticated, understands these things, and is a hands-on kind of actor. And so I don't think that's a particularly credible defense, nor is the one that, all of this was not for my campaign. It was, in fact, to make it so that Melania and the rest of my family wasn't embarrassed. That makes no sense given the timing. It was just a few days before the campaign. There is no chance that wasn't a serious...
But that goes to the campaign thing.
Right.
I'm saying chargeable even if you don't treat it as a campaign donation, that theory of the case.
Right. Well, I mean, in order for it to be a felony, it has to be that it was there to conceal or commit some other kind of crime. So, yes, I mean, I think it would be a misdemeanor no matter what. I mean, there's no reason why.
I mean, this thing, I've heard this backed in, and you're going to respond to the professor. People keep trying to back in the felony. I get that's what prosecutors do.
Yeah.
It may be that if you just did a straight legal analysis, it may be a pile of misdemeanors, and it may not be in furtherance of a felony. I mean, it might be in furtherance of Michael Cohen's federal felony. And the question is Donald Trump on the hook for that? But even if it's just, quote unquote, just a bunch of misdemeanors, at a certain point, as we showed, the Trump org, felonious lying, CFO in prison, Cohen served, Donald Trump, is he going to be hit with any of that? And the question for you is, would you guys bring that misdemeanor case against someone if they weren't the former president? The Trump team is arguing that this is kind of DA Bragg doing a selective prosecution if he moves forward.
Absolutely not. I think this is exactly the kind of prosecution that the Manhattan DA's office brings. And it is to create transparency and fairness in financial markets.
And you were there how many years?
I was there for 5 years.
Yeah. All right. So that's something. Professor Murray, you heard it here from your counterpart with the bread. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to veer away from the Fiddler on the Roof allusions and talk instead about a different movie. This one is The Firm with Tom Cruise and Paul Sorvino. And there's this really poignant scene toward the end of the movie where Tom Cruise's character has to present the charges against this nefarious law firm, and he doesn't actually have the quote-unquote real goods. And so instead, he tells Paul Sorvino, what I've got is mail fraud. It's not sexy, but it sticks. And I think that's exactly what Professor Roiphe is getting at. This is the bread and butter of the Manhattan DA's office. Like, these are not necessarily sexy cases. This is not about election fraud per se, but it is about all of the various ways in which this person may have cut corners over and over and over again in a way that ordinary individuals in New York could not. And there has to be some accountability for that. And if this is it, it may not be sexy, but it sticks.
Yeah. A great illusion and a great Grisham legal thriller. Rebecca, given your time in the DA's office, I'm curious what you and your peers can say, because there's things you can and can't talk about. But you can talk about the fact that a veteran of this office who was brought in on the Trump case, Mr. Pomerantz, has been going around telling everyone about the internal deliberations, the process, even before this case was finished. What is your and the community around the DA's office reaction to that?
So, I will say I have two hats. One is a former DA and the other one is an ethics professor. And it's absolutely unacceptable that he did that. It is a breach of his ethical obligations. He should not be talking about confidential information out in public, regardless of whether he thinks that's in the public interest. It's not his call. It's the elected DA's call. And I think it plays right into the hands of the sort of overriding defense, which is, this is just a political hit job. And I think that's problematic.
And did he cross any lines based on what you've seen in public?
Absolutely.
Did he break the law?
Pomerantz? I don't know about that because I don't know what would be grand jury information and what isn't. But I do know that he has broken his ethical obligations, and I'm an expert on that, and I think it's unacceptable.
Do you think that requires a consideration of bar discipline?
I don't think that the bar traditionally takes this kind of thing on, but I think it it's certainly worth people talking about because it's a serious problem.
Yeah. I appreciate your candor on all of the above. Again, reminding viewers, the office that may make this move, the New York Times saying they're likely to go first now, is where you did so much work and, as the professor would say, spread so much legal butter on so many court pieces of bread. I don't know. I ruined it, but you guys were great at it. It sometimes happens. I took it too far. To both professors, thank you. Appreciate you guys.